Did you know that Europeans once claimed Africans were incapable of building Great Zimbabwe? Prepare to unlearn everything you thought you knew about African history. For centuries, a false narrative has dominated the global understanding of this vast continent, portraying it as a land without history, without sophisticated civilizations, existing in a state of primeval darkness until the arrival of European colonizers. But this is a lie, a calculated erasure of millennia of innovation, culture, and complex societies. Today, we dismantle this myth, piece by piece, fact by verifiable fact. We begin in ancient Egypt, that civilization whose monumental achievements are often conveniently divorced from the African continent. Unified around 3100 BC under Nama, Egypt wasn't just pyramids and pharaohs. It was a cradle of mathematics, medicine, and sophisticated statecraft, trading with Nubia, the Levant, and lands across the Red Sea. Its influence rippled across the ancient world. South of Egypt, in what is now Sudan, rose the kingdom of Kush. From roughly 1070 BC to 350 CE, Kush rivaled its northern neighbor, even ruling Egypt as the 25th dynasty. Rulers like Pi, Shabaka, and Tahaka left behind pyramids, ironworks, and their own written language, Meroitic, a testament to their independent development. Moving east, we encounter the Aksumite Empire, flourishing from around 100 CE in present-day Ethiopia and Eritrea. Under King Ezana in the 4th century, Aksum embraced Christianity, minted its own coinage, and traded extensively across the Red Sea, connecting Africa to Arabia, India, and the Mediterranean. Now, let's travel south to Great Zimbabwe, a majestic city built between 1100 and 1450 CE. Its massive dry stone walls, constructed without mortar, stand as a powerful symbol of African ingenuity. At its height, it was a major center for trade in gold, cattle, and ivory, linked to the Swahili coast and the wider Indian Ocean world. In West Africa, empires rose and fell, leaving behind legacies of scholarship, trade, and political innovation. The Mali Empire, founded in the 13th century by Sundiata Keita, reached its zenith under Mansa Musa, whose pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 to 1325 became legendary for its opulence. Timbuktu and Jain flourished as centers of Islamic learning, attracting scholars from across the Muslim world. Successor to Mali, the Songhai Empire, expanded under Sunni Ali and Askar Muhammad I in the 15th and 16th centuries. Timbuktu, Jain, and Gao continued as vital intellectual and commercial hubs, connecting the Sahara to the savannah. Further south, in present-day Nigeria, the Benin Kingdom thrived from the 12th century until its brutal destruction in 1897. Benin City was a marvel of urban planning, renowned for its sophisticated bronze and brass art, now known as the Benin Bronzes, testament to an advanced metal casting tradition. In Central Africa, the Congo Kingdom emerged in the 14th century, establishing contact with Portugal in the late 15th century. King Zinga Nkuwu converted to Christianity and took the name Joao in 1491. His successor, Afonso I, wrote letters to Portuguese kings condemning the burgeoning slave trade and the corruption it brought. But the narrative of Africa as a passive recipient of outside influence is shattered not only by these achievements in statecraft and culture. It's undermined by the stark reality of the transatlantic slave trade. Roughly 12.5 million Africans were forcibly transported across the Atlantic, with about 10.7 million surviving the horrific journey. This massive forced migration shaped the demographics and economies of the Americas, leaving an indelible scar on both continents. The rise of European colonialism in Africa was a late and brutal phenomenon, accelerating after the Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885. European powers carved up the continent, imposing their rule with violence and exploitation. By 1914, only Liberia and Ethiopia remained independent, a testament to Ethiopian military prowess and diplomatic skill. The Battle of Odwa in 1896, where Ethiopian forces under Emperor Menelik II decisively defeated an Italian invasion, stands as one of the most significant anti-colonial victories in African history. It demonstrated that African armies could resist European aggression. The myth of African intellectual inferiority is similarly dismantled by examining the intellectual life of cities like Timbuktu. Its madrasas, libraries, and manuscript traditions produced a wealth of scholarship on law, astronomy, medicine, theology, poetry, grammar, and commerce. These manuscripts, preserved for centuries, are now being rediscovered and studied, revealing the depth and breadth of African intellectual traditions. Africa also boasted diverse written traditions, often overlooked in favor of a Eurocentric focus on literacy. The Meroitic script of Kush, the Gwizi script of Ethiopia, Ajomi writing traditions adapting Arabic script for African languages, and the extensive manuscript cultures of Mali and Sokoto all testify to the vibrant literary landscape of pre-colonial Africa. It's crucial to acknowledge the complex role some Africans played in the slave trade. While European powers were the primary drivers of the transatlantic system, some African states and elites participated in capturing and selling enslaved people. This uncomfortable truth does not absolve Europeans of their responsibility for creating and perpetuating this heinous system, but it does call for a more nuanced understanding of the historical dynamics. The Benin Kingdom, for example, was not a collection of primitive tribes, but a sophisticated urban center with deep moats, planned streets, a centralized court, and highly skilled artisans. The Benin bronzes, far from being primitive art, were created using the lost wax casting method, a testament to the kingdom's advanced technological capabilities. The ruins of Great Zimbabwe were deliberately misattributed by colonial ideologues who refused to believe that Africans could have built such a magnificent structure. They falsely attributed it to Phoenicians, Arabs, or even the Queen of Sheba, ignoring the archaeological evidence that proved it was built by ancestors of the Shona people. And let's not forget the powerful women who shaped African history, figures like Amenarinas of Kush, who resisted Roman expansion, Zinga of Nongo and Matamba, who fought against Portuguese colonization, Ya Asantewaa, who led the resistance against the British in the War of the Golden Stool, and Ranivalona of Madagascar, who maintained her country's sovereignty against foreign pressure. These women were not exceptions, but part of a long tradition of female leadership in Africa. Finally, African monarchies were not simply tribal structures, but sophisticated states employing taxation systems, diplomatic envoys, legal codes, and complex military organizations. These kingdoms regulated trade, maintained order, and fostered cultural development. The lie that Africa had no history before colonialism is a dangerous and damaging one. It has been used to justify exploitation, oppression, and the erasure of African contributions towards civilization. By uncovering the truth, by celebrating the achievement of African civilizations, and by acknowledging the complexities of African history, we can begin to dismantle this lie and build a more accurate and just understanding of the past. The story of Africa is a story of resilience, innovation, and cultural richness, a story that deserves to be told and heard in all its complexity and grandeur.